Well, she speaks for a passionate wing of the party, right?
She speaks for a passionate wing of the party who also don't know very much about investments. I mean, what she's really looking for here
what
is
do
a new
Republicans
way
know
of
about
controlling the country.
Where has their investment savvy gotten us with deficits, a debt that you've been crying about over the decades?
Very good. That's a very, very good question. Our investment savvy has disappeared as well. Unfortunately, we don't have many people with much investment savvy, except in Omaha, Nebraska. We have somebody with a lot of investment savvy. But look, we have a situation here where Warren Buffett, the Green New Deal is yet another way to control the American people. All these ways of socialist thinking are ways to control the American people and to take away their freedom to choose, their freedom to do what they want to do with their lives. Socialism is about maintaining government control over people. A Green New Deal would add another dimension to that and add a dimension of environmentalism and how we control people. There's just too much talk in the Democratic Party about controlling people and not letting people live their own lives and do what they want to do with their own lives. This country is founded on the beliefs in freedom and the fact that we will prosper and grow, and people will be happier if they have a control of their own lives and don't have a bureaucrat controlling their lives.
You're just mad because she wants to raise your taxes.
No, you've forgotten. It's been so long since I've seen you. You've forgotten that I like high taxes. You've forgotten that, and you've made fun of me about it many, many times.
No, you did say the taxes should go up because we can't get spending under control. But would you be comfortable with a 70% top rate or higher, or a 2% tax on wealth that Elizabeth Warren is considering, or something similar that Kamala Harris is considering?
I'm perfectly happy with that as long as it hits people at your income level and not at my low peasantly income level.
So it's interesting you say that because, please, you have the GDP of most countries. So let me ask you about this trend that's gotten to be very effective because it does rate and poll well. Now, obviously, if you don't have to pay for it, naturally, you're going to support it. And a lot of Americans support it. And I think when I hear a lot of Republicans dismiss it and sort of wave their hand that it isn't going anywhere, they're missing something that has more populist appeal than they know.
Well, there's a lot of jealousy and envy out there in the country. I mean, the ordinary guy who cannot live except paycheck to paycheck sees people who are billionaires and he gets jealous and envious. And you can't blame people being jealous and being envious as a basic part of the human spirit. But what we don't want to do is let that control government policy to the extent that we have a government that runs people's lives. We are all about freedom in this country. Equality is a nice thing. We want people, we don't want anyone starving to death. We don't want anyone missing medical care. And by the way, I'm 100% for a government health plan that covers everybody. That's perfectly fine with me. But what I don't want to see is government controlling how many logs I can put in my fireplace, what kind of car I can drive. I don't want to see government control over my life.
Then what about the idea that the government
the least possible?
Okay, so if a lot of the common themes here among some who are, most, by the way, who are running for president right now, is that there's been this chasm, this huge gap between the rich and the poor, and the only way apparently you can force that back to the middle is to really tax the wealthy, not just a little bit, but a lot. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, but that's not true. I mean, you'd have to tax the wealthy so much it would be insane in order to squeeze that back into the middle class. And anyway, the middle class is not
that's how they're doing. They're forcing that issue to make that math better. You like that approach?
I don't buy it. The American Enterprise
You just said you're for higher taxes on yourself.
I am for higher taxes on very rich people like you. The American Enterprise Institute just published a document saying that a large part of the middle class has disappeared upward, not downward, but upward. So that's part of the reason the middle class is disappearing. They're not all becoming homeless people, God forbid, because we don't want to have any homeless people in this country, but some of them are becoming well-to-do. I mean, this idea that the middle class is disappearing and they're all becoming homeless is just nonsense.
All right, so when you look at Donald Trump's America versus, I'll use Kamala Harris because she's rising in the polls, her version of what she wants to make America, where do you go?
I go with Donald Trump. He wants freedom. He wants freedom and opportunity. I go with him. I say the way Americans get to be richer is to have more freedom to control their own lives and their own destinies. The way Americans get poorer is to have the government supervise everything.
So for your son, and this effort led by Democrats to hike the estate tax. I think Bernie Sanders wants to bring it up to 77%. His argument is that the government is owed that, not your son, you say.
I don't think the government is owed anything by me in favor of my son. My son is going to use it all to create techno-pop music. It's going to make America a happier, better place. And if the government took it, I don't know what they would do with it, but I know my son has got a very, very big studio in his home where he's making techno-pop music. I know that's going to make America a much happier place.
There is that. Ben Stein, thank you very much, my friend. You're the best.
Thank you, sir.